Welcome to the Positive Sports Podcast. I'll be your host this evening, Ed Montana. As you can see, if you're catching this on the YouTubes today, or whenever you're catching this, I'm flying solo today. No Alex. Alex could not make it today, and so you're getting Positive Sports light. Half the Positive Sports. Let me also start off by addressing last week. As you may or may not have noticed, I'm sure all of our fans did notice, we were missing last week. I particularly ran into some health issues and some other issues, and we could not do the podcast last week. As much as we tried, Alex and I just could not get into the studio together to get it done. So my sincerest apologies to you. I missed you all. I'm sure Alex missed you all, and I'm sure you all missed us. So, with that said, let's get right to it. I'm going to rewind a little bit further back than I normally would by addressing the Masters. Look, we're Americans, and Americans love a comeback story. And that's what we got last week at the Masters. What an incredible performance by Tiger Woods. Really brought back some memories, and he won his 15th major. Now all of a sudden we're back on the bandwagon of, is he going to catch Jack Nicklaus or not? I personally do not think he is. Although he played very well, physically, he's still not the same guy he used to be. Doesn't drive the ball quite as far as he used to. Not to say that you can't win by being an average driver of the golf ball, but it was one of his big advantages as a golfer back in the day. When he was winning majors left and right, he was out driving everybody, leaving himself short shots, short approaches to the green where he could get close to the pin and not have to rely on excellent putting. Now, that being said, sure, he can win another one, but can he win 3 more? I don't know. That's going to be tough. He is 43 years old, which is not terribly old in human years, but in golf years, there's not a whole lot of guys winning majors after the age of 43. Jack Nicklaus himself has a record for being the oldest man to win a major at the age of 46. So you see that window is not very long. You do the math. In 3 years, he'll be 46. 4 majors every year for 3 years. That's 12. He'd have to win 3 out of 12, which is not easy to do. Now, mind you, he did it before. He's obviously been very successful at the majors, but again, it's not easy. It does not come gift wrapped for you, so to speak. But I'm going to have fun watching it. And let me tell you something. If he wins 16 and he wins 17, believe me, I'll be watching every major after that to see if he can make it to 18. I personally, like I said, I don't think he's going to make it. But, hey, it's a great story. And we love the comeback. Ironically, this Masters title was the first major that he did not lead after 54 holes. And so basically it was a comeback for the win. It's the first time out of all of his major wins that he did not lead after 54 holes and had to win it on Sunday. He had an excellent round, and the atmosphere was electric. Look, I love all those golfers. They're all incredible. Jordan Spieth, Rory McIlroy, Jason Day. They're all fantastic. But the fact of the matter is, no one creates the buzz like Tiger Woods for golf. And look, if Tiger Woods is playing on Sunday, people are watching. The ratings proved it. Golf still needs Tiger Woods. So, me, for one, I'm rooting for him. But again, I just don't think he's going to make it. So, still, hats off to El Tigre. Now, the big news in sports is we are now hot and heavy in the NBA playoffs. It's been a blast so far, but really, it's pretty much like I told you guys from the jump. The first round is a waste of time. We've got 8 series going on, and they're all pretty much decided and wrapped up. There's some intrigue in 1 or 2, but for the most part, there's really nothing to talk about. So, we'll go through this rather quickly. Let's start off in the East. And we'll start with the top seed, the Milwaukee Bucks, who are playing the 8 seed, the Detroit Pistons. The Bucks are up 3-0 after winning yesterday convincingly. And quite frankly, every game has been pretty much a wipeout by the Bucks over the Pistons. The Pistons are just no match. And the Bucks are really playing good basketball. Their big three of Middleton, Giannis, and whoever that third person is that is completely escaping my mind. See, Alzheimer's. It happens to us old folks. Their big three is just playing fantastic basketball. When one's not doing the job, it seems like the other ones are picking it up, and they're manhandling the Pistons. It is, it's almost unfair. Bledsoe is the other name that I was trying to think of. They're playing awesome basketball. They're really primed to get to the next round and see where things go, because it will get more interesting in the next round. In the next series, you've got the number 2 seed, the Toronto Raptors, playing the Orlando Magic, who are the 7 seed. The Raptors are up 2-1. The Magic surprised the Raptors in taking game 1, but after that, it's pretty much been all Raptors. Kawhi Leonard and gang have been phenomenal. They've really dominated the game. Their shooting has been lights out, and they are really putting it to the Magic. In fact, they're playing right now, and they're up 12 on them right now, so they're looking primed to go up 3-1, having to go back on Tuesday to Toronto, quite possibly to close out the series. Again, you notice, not much commentary here because there's really not much to talk about. These first-round series, especially in the East, where the gap was so big between 5 and down, the 6, 7, 8 seed, they really didn't belong in the playoffs. It's unfortunate to say, but it's true. And the only reason the 5 seed was as high as it was in terms of wins, Indiana they played really well, but they're missing their star. So, it's the top 4 and everyone else. But moving on, you've got the 3 seed Sixers who are playing the Brooklyn Nets at the 6 seed. This has been one of the more interesting series. As much as I've been complaining about the fact that it's been kind of pointless and not competitive, this series has actually been pretty good. The Nets won game 1, and every game after that has been very competitive, very physical game. The Nets came into the series willing to bang with the Sixers. The Sixers are just a little bit better. The one area of concern when I look at the Sixers is Embiid. He came in with a bit of a knee problem. He missed one of those games with a knee problem. That is concerning with them. And the other thing, he's doing a masterful job of controlling himself with the scuffles that seem to be going on with the Nets. He's doing the right thing. He's getting the first shot in. Because the only person that ever gets busted or the only person that ever gets penalized in these scuffles is the second shot. The first shot is treated like a foul. The second shot is treated like a fight. And there's an ejection. And there's a problem. And that's what happened to Dudley in Game 4. But Embiid is being smart. He's getting his crack in first before anyone else. And then after that, let the scuffle happen. He had a pretty hard foul on Allen yesterday. Dudley took exception to it and came in and pushed him. And Embiid just walked away with his hands up. He's like, hey, I wasn't doing anything. I was just trying to play basketball. No. He was sending a message. He was being overly physical. And he got away with it because he was the first one. First crack gets away with it because it's part of the game. Second, it's the retaliation that always gets caught. If you want to see it work every single time, go watch hockey. The guy that comes in afterwards is always the one that gets the worst end of the penalty. And that's what Embiid is doing. He is now he is antagonizing the Nets, daring them to get into this tough ball contest with them. Meanwhile, they're still playing basketball, and the Nets are starting to lose their composure a little bit. There were plenty of times in that game yesterday where they were in control of the game. They were ahead. They were up 6 in the fourth quarter and could not hold on because they lost their composure. They lost their offensive scheme, and they let the Sixers dictate the pace of the game. They let the Sixers put it to them the way they wanted to, and the Nets just lost their way. The Nets are a good basketball team, don't get me wrong, and they're going to get better. If they pick up a star in the offseason, they're going to be pretty good. But they're just not quite there. D'Angelo Russell just not quite there. Allen not quite there. Dudley not quite. They're just a bit short from the superstars like Embiid and Ben Simmons. And yes, I said Ben Simmons. Look, I hear it from people all the time about what a terrible shooter he is. And yeah, he's a pretty bad shooter. But the fact of the matter is the guy gets to the rim and gets a lot of easy shots as well. He doesn't average 18 points a game or whatever it is by accident. He does it by getting to the rim, and he's very good at it. He distributes the ball well. He's a very good basketball player. If that kid ever learns to shoot, I shouldn't say learns to shoot. If that guy works on his jump shot where he can make stuff consistently, he is going to be deadly, and he's going to be a huge problem in the next round for the Toronto Raptors. And yes, I'm already putting the Sixers in the next round, and I'm already putting the Raptors in the next round. I apologize. I know it's not the right thing to do. You guys are going to blast me for it, but it's the truth. Moving on. You have the Celtics, who were the 4 seed. They've already won their series against the Pacers. They swept them. It was pretty much no contest. Even today, when the Pacers were up, you could just feel that the Celtics were going to take over the game and win. I've said it all year. I think the Celtics are the most talented team in the East, and we have not seen it. That's why they're a 4 seed, and it is very worrisome. But we did start to see a little bit of the real Celtics here in the playoffs. Now, I understand. It was against Indiana, not the best team in the East. They're missing their star. They're not exactly a true 5 seed. But the fact of the matter is, look, they played the team that was put in front of them, and they dominated every game, and they went away with a win. They won by 10. They won by 8. They won by 8. They won by 4 today. Those numbers they're not all blowouts, but some of those games were not as close as the score would indicate. So they're looking really good. And what I like about the Celtics is defensively, they're starting to look really tough. Jason Tatum seems to be catching on to the groove now. Kyrie Irving seems to be in it. Gordon Hayward had a good game today. Again, they're a very talented team. Up and down the lineup, probably the most talented team. And if they're starting to gel, if they're finally starting to figure it out, which is incredible to me that it would take 82 games and now in the playoffs they're finally going to figure it out. But if they are figuring it out, look out. It's a problem for everyone else in the East. That is a very talented team, and they will give everyone fits, including the Milwaukee Bucks, which is a team they will face in the next round. And yes, I'm putting them through to the next round, referring to the Bucks, of course, because the Celtics are already through. So in the East, 1, 2, 3, 4 made it through, no problem. If we move along to the West, we've got a similar situation, although we do have one series that is really pretty up in the air, and another one that could be, depending on how tonight's game goes. So let's start off with the 1 seed, the Golden State Warriors playing the 8 seed, the Los Angeles Clippers. You expected this to be no contest. You expected it probably to be a sweep. I sure did. Now, the Clippers did give them one game of hell. They came back and they won that game too. But other than that, it's been all Warriors, and it hasn't even been close. They beat them by 17 the first game. They beat them by 20-something the game 3. They beat them by another dozen, I believe, in game 4. Or 8, I'm sorry. They beat them by 8, which was today. The Clippers are just too much. And the only downside to the Clippers so far in this playoffs, aside from that one game, which, it happens, was an injury to Boogie Cousins. Now, my brother and I have laughed a lot about Boogie Cousins joining the Warriors and how he's playing chess, not checkers, and the Warriors making a steal, picking him up for $5 million. And, we kind of laughed about it a lot. But truth be told, he was a good addition for this team. He's done for the playoffs. It looks like he's not going to be back. And he was a key contributor off the bench. Now, they are going to have to make a little bit of adjustments in terms of their rotation and how they come off the bench. But the fact of the matter is they're still loaded. They're still a great team. Every game seems to be a different Warrior that comes up big. Klay Thompson was big in game 3. Kevin Durant today. Obviously, you always have Steph Curry. you've got Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala. I mean, the names go on and on. It really is kind of like an all-star roster, and they're playing like it. They're the number one seed for a reason. They're extremely good. They look to be well on their way to winning another NBA title. It's not going to be an easy road. It's a lot of playoff games. It's a grind. I understand that. But they look great, with the exception of losing Boogie Cousins. But these things happen. Another reason why these playoffs should be shorter. A team like the Warriors losing a key contributor like Boogie Cousins in a meaningless playoff game. Yes, I said it. Meaningless playoff game. This first round is a waste of time. All it does is give us problems like this, which I do not like. I'd much rather see them go through intact. Moving on. The number 2 seed in the West, the Denver Nuggets, playing against the 7 seed, the San Antonio Spurs. This series is all tied at 2. They split the 2 games in Denver, with the Spurs winning the first one. They split the 2 games in San Antonio, with San Antonio winning game 3. This is, this was the one series that I thought might be a problem or might be an upset. San Antonio is, it doesn't matter what seed they are. When it comes to the playoffs, they're a extremely well-coached team. They've got a good balance of young players and veterans to get them through the playoff hump. They've got veterans like LaMarcus Aldridge. They've got young guys like DeMar DeRozan. They're a good mix of youth and experience, which bodes well for them here in the playoffs. And the Nuggets, let's face it, the Nuggets have never had this kind of pressure going into the playoffs before. In fact, they've never had this kind of, these players haven't had this kind of pressure heading into the playoffs. They're just not that seasoned veteran team. And so this is a rough go for them. And the Spurs are giving them fits. They match up well with them. They play great defense. And, they're forcing Denver to play their style of basketball. So Denver can't get out on the break. Denver can't get out and score as many points as they would like. And so the Spurs are really kind of containing them. And that's what we're seeing. Every game has been close, but every game has been pretty much decided by the third quarter. The fourth quarter kind of becomes a bit of a formality. And, that's just kind of the way this series has gone. I expect these next 3 games starting Tuesday night in Denver to be really exciting. And that's right, I said 3 games. I think this series goes 7. I think Denver will win on Tuesday. I think San Antonio will win on Thursday in San Antonio. And then game 7 next Saturday with everything to play for back in Denver. And quite frankly, I don't know who's going to win that game, because over the course of a 7-game series, when you have someone like Popovich, Denver's really talented, but it's hard to go against Pop. Moving on. That is by far, I think not by far. That series is the best series to watch, along with the Sixers Nets, although the Sixers Nets, I think the outcome is more decided. But this one is really a flip of the coin. Moving on, you've got the 3 seed, the Portland Trailblazers. They ended up with the 3 seed somehow. The Rockets were there, and the Rockets could have ended up as high as 2. They screwed it up at the end, and Portland snuck in all the way up to 3. They're playing the 6 seed, the OKC Thunder. I'll tell you what, man, if you're a 3 seed, the last thing you want to see as a 6 seed is the OKC Thunder, because Westbrook and Paul George, man, that's a tough combination to deal with. Now, Portland's done a good job with them with McCollum and Lillard, but they won the 2 games in Portland. They lost Friday night in Oklahoma City, so it's 2-1 Portland. We've got game 4 tonight. This is a pivotal game. If Portland can somehow win this game, they go up 3-1, and the series should be theirs. If they don't, if they get into a 2-2 scrap with this OKC Thunder team, this could be a long series. This could go 7. It's not going to be easy for either one of them. Somehow, the Thunder have to find a way to pull out a win in Portland. That's going to be the tough thing. Portland plays extremely well at home, almost a night and day thing. They play well. They're a good basketball team, but just on the road, they're not quite the same, and it shows. OKC, on the other hand, OKC is pretty much the same thing. Very different team at home as opposed to on the road. They struggle on the road. At home, it's completely different, and it should be a lot of fun to watch. I can hear you guys now complaining when I said that the first round was a waste of time, yet some of these series are really good to watch. Well, look, a few of these series are good, but the majority are a waste of time. Moving on, you've got the 4 seed, the Houston Rockets, against the 5 seed, the Utah Jazz. The Rockets are up 3-0. Really no contest in the 2 games at Houston. The Jazz were no match for the Rockets. And then the Rockets went to Utah, played a very competitive basketball game. James Harden, 0 for 15, started the game 0 for 15, was really out of it. Just couldn't buy a bucket. But yet, when the fourth quarter came around, who was there to make it all happen? That's right, James Harden. Look, say what you want about Giannis, say what you want about Westbrook, say what you want about Paul George, say what you want about Steph Curry. I love all those guys. They're all very good. The best player in the NBA is James Harden. He's running this show by himself. And he's just an incredible talent. The man can find a way to score baskets. He can find a way to lift his team. And he's great. As much as we talk about him being a one-man show, he may be enough to derail the Golden State Warriors in their quest to win another NBA championship. He's that good. Capella is a nice piece, a nice help. Chris Paul is a little bit older, but still very good, and that experience handling the ball is important. At the end of the day, man, it's the James Harden show, and he's just doing an amazing job. He's been incredible all season long. He continues to be incredible, and it's going to be very interesting. They're obviously going to get past the Utah Jazz, and then we got to start looking at what's it going to be like with them and the Golden State Warriors. That should be a very interesting series. We don't have much definition between obviously we don't know who's going to win the Denver-San Antonio series and the Portland-OKC series, so it's a little bit harder to project that one. But we're getting the Warriors and the Rockets, and that should be very exciting. Remember, last year, the Rockets almost derailed the Warriors on their way to the NBA title, but Chris Paul got injured. James Harden had a really rough night against the Golden State Warriors, and they ended up losing in 7. So that's just, we're going to see if the Rockets have learned something and have managed to right the wrong. Will be able to manage to right the wrong from last season. That's your NBA playoffs. So as you can see, if we go back, I very much think Milwaukee's going to go through. Obviously, they're up 3-0. I think they'll close out the series tomorrow. Toronto is well on their way. They're up 17 now against the Magic in the fourth quarter, so they're going to be up 3-1. I think the Sixers are up 3-1. I think they're going to take the series as well. And then the Celtics have already been through. So you're looking at Milwaukee, Boston, Toronto, Philadelphia. Both great matchups. I think we're going to get a couple of upsets there. I think the Celtics are finally starting to gel. And the Celtics, I think, are going to take care of the Bucks. They match up well with Milwaukee, and I think they're going to give them everything they can handle. Again, home court advantage isn't going to mean much to the Celtics. And, I think they can really match up well with them. And the way they're playing, they're starting to get their confidence back, and they've got a lot of pieces to help them get through. So I'm picking the Celtics to win that. And then in the other series, I still don't have faith in Toronto. And I can hear all my Toronto fan friends saying, "What do you mean you don't have faith in us?" I just don't. I just don't think Toronto is going to be able to deal with the presence of Embiid in the middle and Simmons slashing to the basket. It's just going to be too much. Now, if Kawhi Leonard can shut down Ben Simmons, it's going to be a real problem for the Sixers. It should make for a much more interesting series. But I think the Sixers pull it out. The Sixers, I think, are getting better. If Embiid's knee does not act up, look for them to take it over the over the Raptors, and then we would get the Sixers and Celtics again in the conference finals. Boy, what fun would that be? That's a little too far down the line for me to make a pick, so I'm going to leave that be for the time being. In the West, you've got the Warriors and the Rockets, I think, are on a collision course to play each other for sure. I would take the Warriors. The Warriors are just too much. There's too much talent, and at the end of the day, as much as we talk about the Splash Brothers and all their scoring, they've got a gritty, tough defensive mindset sometimes that can really shut teams down. And I think that's what they're going to do to James Harden. Remember, I think this year he's got less help around him than he did last year, and they shut him down last year, and eventually it paid off with them winning the series. I think this year he's got less help. They're going to work harder to shut him down, and it's going to be rough for the Rockets. So I'm going to pick the Warriors to beat them. Now, the other two series, you got Denver, San Antonio, Portland, OKC. I'm of the opinion that Denver will eventually get by the Spurs, but it's going to cost them. They're gonna play 7 games, and it's going to take everything out of them. On the other side, I think Portland and OKC might go 7 as well, but I'm picking OKC in that one. I just think that Russell Westbrook and Paul George will eventually be able to overcome Lillard and McCollum and the chippiness of the series that they're having with the Trailblazers right now. It's been a bit of a struggle, but you know the chippier it gets, the better the Thunder play, because Westbrook just does not care. Westbrook is he is just hardcore, and if they keep getting all this chippiness going back and forth, it's going to favor the Thunder, believe it or not. So I'm going to pick the Thunder to meet up against the Nuggets, and I think the series with the Spurs will take too much out of the Nuggets, and I think the Thunder will get by them as well. It'll be another long, tough, drawn-out series, but I think the Thunder will make it past the Nuggets, and so you will get the Warriors and the Thunder in the conference finals. Now, I'm not going to pick the conference finals because it's too far away. I want to see how this goes. What if there's another major injury, right? What if Westbrook gets hurt? I mean, God forbid, right? But these things happen, so I'm going to wait a little bit until we get to the conference finals. Not to mention, I like to have the argument back and forth with my brother. I wish he was here today because he'd argue with me about the Nets and Sixers. He's a big Nets fan. He's hoping for big things from the Nets. I don't think it's going to happen for him, not this year, but he's still rooting hard for them. By the way, if you want to reach out to the show, you can reach the show by emailing us at positivesports10@gmail.com. positivesports10@gmail.com. If you want to get a hold of me, you can do so at eMontana21 on Twitter. And if you want to get a hold of my brother, he doesn't want to give out his Twitter handle anymore. It gets him in trouble, he says. The Twitter police are after him, and he's trying to keep a low profile. So just email the show and get a hold of him that way. So that's basketball. Hey, look, if you guys want to see some exciting playoff action, basketball's great. But go check out some hockey. The hockey playoffs have been nuts. You had the Tampa Bay Lightning, best record in the league all year long, out. And not only out, swept by the Columbus Blue Jackets, 4-0 in the first round. The Calgary Flames, they had the best record in the Western Conference. Out. Gone by the Colorado Avalanche in 5 games. First time in a long time that the top 2 seeds in the hockey playoffs have been bounced in the first round. And I'm pretty sure Tampa Bay, it's the first time ever, I want to say, since they've gone to this 16-team format, that the overall number 1 seed got swept. Really incredible stuff. The hockey playoffs are completely different. It's just a different bear. I'm not quite sure how to explain it, but part of it is you can ride a hot goaltender. If your goalie gets hot in hockey, forget it. I mean, you can go a long way even if you had a crappy season. It's a little bit different than the NBA for some reason, but it's super exciting. It's a lot of fun. You've got the Islanders and the the Islanders already made it through. Boston and Toronto are in a very exciting series. I believe they're going to a Game 7. So, that series has been a lot of fun to watch. San Jose and Vegas are in a dogfight series. The Blues took care of the Winnipeg Jets. Winnipeg had a very good season, but they're gone. So, just to go through it real quick, Tampa Bay, number 1 seed, and they're gone 4-0. Columbus took care of them. Boston and Toronto in a very exciting matchup. They're going to a Game 7 Tuesday night in Boston. The Capitals and the Carolina Hurricanes, another really good series, going to Game 6. It's a 3-2 Capitals lead right now. The home team's won every game, so should be pretty interesting to see what happens tomorrow night when they go to Carolina. The Islanders, like I mentioned, took care of the Penguins 4-0, which is a little bit of a surprise. In the West, you've got Nashville against Dallas. That's been a very good series as well. It's 3-2 Dallas right now. Game 6 tomorrow night in Dallas. Should be very exciting as well. And I mentioned Winnipeg against St. Louis. And St. Louis took care of them in 6 games. And Calgary against Colorado. Calgary, like I said, was the number 1 seed in the West. Lost in 5 games. And then San Jose and the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas trying to make another remarkable run through the playoffs like they did last year. They're up 3-2 right now and tied 1-1 in a pivotal Game 6 for San Jose that they're playing right as we speak. It should be very exciting. And I'm telling you, it's just a lot of fun. The intensity of the hockey playoffs it's completely different. The first round of the NBA playoffs, with the exception of a few series that I mentioned, it doesn't have... It seems like a little bit higher intensity than the regular season, but not too much. In hockey, the playoffs are at a completely different level. The game seems to be much more physical. It seems to be faster. It's nuts. It's nuts. So if you want to watch some really intense sports, go catch the hockey playoffs. It's a lot of fun. What those guys do on 2 knife blades is amazing. I wish I could skate like that. So, look, when I'm by myself, it's kind of hard to have a long-winded conversation. I don't like the sound of my voice. It's just too much. So, you're going to get a light version of the podcast today. Again, sorry for missing out last week. I really missed talking to all of y'all. But I'm back. Hopefully next week, Alex will be back as well. And we're working on some different things for the podcast. We'll be catching up with you in different ways shortly. Again, if you want to get a hold of us, you can email the show. positivesports10@gmail.com is our email address. If you want to reach me, you can reach me at eMontana21 on Twitter. I don't know what number podcast this is, so I can't give you a number thing that we normally do. Go figure. I think it's number 71. I don't know. Let me check. Hold on. Because we've done quite a few of these. And if it's number 71, I'm in trouble because I'm not going to know a famous 71. I'm just not. Once the numbers get big, it gets tough. It gets real tough. Oh, yeah. We're at 71. Famous number 71. Alex Karras, the guy from Webster. If you guys remember that show from years ago, Alex Karras was a lineman for the Detroit Lions, and then he did that show with that little kid, Webster, back in the 90s or 80s, or I don't know how long ago it was. It was a long time ago. But that's the only 71 I can think of off the top of my head. So there you go. Actually, forget that. Episode 71 is my episode, because I was born in 1971. Now, you do the math as to how old I am. Keep saying damn near 50. There you go. I just proved it. So, 1971. Episode 71. This is my episode. It's only right that I should be here by myself. It's my episode. Episode 71, folks. The Ed Montana episode. That's what I'm going to call it. Anyway. So that's that. My shout out of the week goes to, let me see. There's so many good performances in sports, it's kind of hard to pick just one this time of year. I'll tell you what. Give me just a sec. I'm going to look this up because I forgot it. I forget the kid's name, but my shout out goes to the shortstop from the Pirates. A young man by the name of, let's see if I can remember. Tucker. Cole Tucker. So Cole Tucker got called up Friday night to the big team. How exciting is that? Hey, mom and dad, I just got the call. I'm headed to Pittsburgh. I'm going to be with the Major League Club tomorrow. You guys get to Pittsburgh so you can see my first game. They get there, and Cole Tucker is in the lineup. He's in the starting lineup. He's the starting shortstop for the Pittsburgh Pirates yesterday. He gets a ground ball out in the first inning. So he gets his first major league put out. And then in a 1-1 game in the bottom of the fifth, Cole Tucker hits a 2-run home run to give the Pirates a 3-1 lead. And then, as though it was scripted in a Hollywood movie, the rains come down and cancel the rest of the game. So guess who got the game-winning hit in his first game in the major leagues? Cole Tucker, a 2-run home run to win the game for the Pittsburgh Pirates yesterday. My shout out goes to him, his parents, who were super excited to hear them talk. They interviewed him during the rain delay. They were beyond excited, which I can completely understand. I know if my son hit a home run to put him ahead, at any point, I would have been super excited. Much more so when it's his first game. So my shout out goes to Cole Tucker. What a great story that was. What a way to start off your major league career. It is Easter Sunday. I hope for those of you that celebrate Easter, this particular version of Easter, because I know there's another one as well, I hope y'all have had a wonderful day, and I hope you have spent a lot of time with your family and friends, and hopefully you have eaten a lot of sweets like I have. I gave up sweets for Lent. I'll go through that whole story about what I did for Lent, what I gave up, because I also did some fasting. It was really a neat experiment with myself, and so I will share that with you next week. But today, I have eaten all the sweets I can get my hands on. I think I borderline made myself sick, but I have enjoyed it quite a bit. Anyway. And with that, folks, we've come to the end of another wonderful episode of the Positive Sports Podcast. As always, send us your comments, likes, subscribe on YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, whatever platform you choose to listen and or watch this podcast. We appreciate your patronage, and send us your comments. We'd love to interact with you. And as always, folks, ignore the negativity. Be the positivity. Peace.